another over 1 million people, 54% of the entire population facing emergency IPC phase 4. And close to 400,000 people, 20% are in crisis, what is called IPC 3. And maybe to say one more thing, if nothing would be done now, if nothing would be done, and the report also is clear on that, then it's projected, not just if you look at acute malnutrition of children, which is then really exponentially increasing, but it's also over the longer term, if very little happens, that it's projected that through June 26, part of the report, at least 132,000 children under the age of 5 are at risk of death from acute malnutrition, according to this IPC analysis. And also this number has doubled compared to the IPC estimates reported in May 25. Over to you.
Thank you, Rick. And this figure are really appalling. And so let me go to the last questions from Isabel Sacco, the Spanish news agency.
Yes, good morning. Thank you very much. There is already a reaction by Israel to the report. And I would like to read to the representative of IPC what Israel says, denying all the main result of the report about famine. So Israel says, the IPC twisted its own rules and ignored its own criteria just to produce false accusations against Israel. The IPC changed its own global standard, cutting to 30% threshold to 15 for this report only, and totally ignoring its second criteria of death rate, solely to serve Hamas fake campaign. Thank you for your response.
Maybe, Jean-Martin, I think you had spoken about some of the criteria. Maybe you want to answer our journalist.
Sure. So what I'd like to say is that, again, the IPC is the gold standard for food security analysis worldwide. The indicators we used in Gaza that the IPC used, and I'm not the IPC representative, I'm the WFP Director of Food Security Analysis, but the indicators that the IPC used for this analysis have been used in other countries. I told you earlier on that there have been famine determinations in the past in Somalia, South Sudan, Sudan. We used the nutrition measure used in Gaza in the past as well. I think what I've heard as an objection is that we used the mid-upper arm circumference as a measure for malnutrition instead of weight for height. That's something that is allowed for in the IPC protocol and has been allowed for by the IPC manual since 2019. And this measure that we used in Gaza for the determination was also used in past famine declarations in South Sudan and in Sudan. So the protocols have been applied in the case of Gaza. And I remind you that the IPC also has a strong governance mechanism that includes a famine review committee with the foremost experts in food security and nutrition and mortality that looked at the data. And we can take this finding as seriously because this is the gold standard in food security analysis worldwide.
Thank you very much, Jean-Martin. I see Rick wants to add something.
Well, it's difficult to add something. I think Jean-Martin has been very clear, not just the gold standard, but it's also a very well established global system. So I think it should be taken seriously, very, very seriously. And it's factual. I also want to remind that everyone who's working here on the ground, and anyone, for us, WHO, I heard it from my UNICEF colleagues and many other NGOs and colleagues, etc. We see this happening on the ground, and we have been warning constantly on this. So is it a surprise for us? No, it's not a surprise. And And this is so, I mean, like overwhelming when you see this, not just in the hospitals, etc., within the communities, etc. I also want to make the point that we have had previous debates on, on mortality rates and the number of people killed and injured, etc. And like we have raised before, I think every one of us tries to be as factual and analytical as possible. And I'm afraid we're talking about underestimation in many of these topics. So maybe that's all what I want to add to this.
Yeah, indeed. And Jeremy, you want to also add
I'd just like to add one thing, well, a couple of things actually with respect to this, and just echoing what my colleague's saying there. The first is we are witnessing people starving to death already, beyond what this report is saying. That is beyond doubt. The second thing is this: we have been talking about flagging warning about this nightmare scenario, which is going to present itself through the declaration of famine. Now, now we're at the stage where this nightmare scenario is reality. It's horrible, cruel, unforgivable reality. What's happening on the ground, as stated in the declaration. And the other thing is, I just reflect on the fact we've talked about our office on the stain of a stain on humanity when it comes to events that have been unfolding in Gaza. Maybe today we need to reflect on the fact that inhumanity, our collective inhumanity.
Maybe,
and
Alexandra, can I maybe add,
sure, Rick.
add one thing? You know, also the IPC over the years, etc. What I understand, it is definitely not the IPC experts. I'm not speaking, but it's not just the UN. It's 21 organizations, including respected NGOs, with long experience in dealing with hunger, malnutrition, and its effects. Yeah, and this kind of questioning and arguing about the reports, it makes me incredibly sad. I mean, like, we got to do something about that. You know, please, can we please do something about this? Can we please, I mean, like, make sure that this is reversed and this never happens again? Can we please work on that? I think these petty discussions about arguments, about data, etc. There's a massive disaster going on. We can all witness it. We can all see it. Can we please help solve this? Thank you.
Absolutely. This is indeed a humanitarian catastrophe of epic proportion. And as we've been saying the whole morning, famine must be stopped at all costs. And this is a race against time. To end this terrible situation with an immediate ceasefire and humanitarian response at a very large scale, unimpeded, that will save a life. Gabriela, sorry, let me go to Christian, because she's not asked any question. Then if we have time, I'll go back to you. Christian Rick is our correspondent of the German news agency.
Thank you, Alexandra. And I'm sorry, Rick, I totally agree with you, but because this information is out there, we do have to follow it and verify what the facts are. We report all the time that there's this 30% threshold on, let me just read it properly, on children that suffer from malnutrition, and the Israelis are saying in this particular report, it's only 15%. I haven't found that immediately, but to refute that claim, it would be good to have a confirmation that no, the three criteria, 20% of households, 30% of children, and so many people dying per 10,000. It would be great to have a confirmation that all three, including the 30% of children with malnutrition, could be confirmed. Thank you.
Thank you. Jean-Martin?
Thank you, Christian. I'd like to help with that. There are different ways of measuring malnutrition. One of them is weight for height. And that's when, if measured by weight for height, so that's measure how tall the child is and you weigh the child. When you get 30% above the malnutrition as assessed by weight for height, that's where you're in famine territory. Now, the IPC manual also provides for using MUAC, which is mid-upper arm circumference. You measure the upper arm of the child with a tape. Both are acceptable measures, but they're very different measures. And the equivalent to 30% in weight for height is 15% by MUAC. That's been established, again, by the nutrition community, by the experts who are part of the IPC and even outside the IPC. What happened in Gaza City is that the threshold of 15% MUAC, mid-upper arm circumference, has been exceeded. The incidence of acute malnutrition by the MUAC in Gaza City has tripled between May and July. The use of the MUAC as a measure for the IPC has been accepted for years now and has been used in past famine confirmations as well. So I hope that reassures you. All that information, it's very technical, is available online if you want to double check as well. We're also happy to take further questions if we want to get into the details of that.
Yeah, thank you very much. And yeah, as one of our colleagues here is saying, I mean, that would be a simple solution to verify all this, Christian, and that would be to let international media in to verify and to see by themselves. But I think Jean-Martin has been giving you the scientific answer, and I thank him very much for this. Rick, I see your hand moving. Is that
No,
you want to
sorry.
add?
No, nothing
Okay.
to add.
No worries. Thank you. It's hard to see from here. Gabriela, very last question, also on Gaza, I understand?
Yes, thank you so much, Alessandra. My question is, was oxycodone drug found in flour bags distributed by Israel in 8 centers? And if it's true, because I was on vacation, I don't know if you already talk about this, but I understand that oxycodone drug, it's a serious thing. I don't know what are the main effects of this drug, if you have any evidence on that. Thank you so much.
Rick.
Yeah, I think we heard the rumors. I wouldn't know at all. There's no confirmation of that at all. So that's all what I can say. We don't know.
Thank you. That is very clear. So I'd like to thank all the colleagues who have been speaking this morning on this. Let me remind you a couple of things. First of all, that you have the information on the complete information on the IPC website. We also have several agencies that have spoken this morning and others, so FAO, UNICEF, of course, World Food Programme, and WHO, who have published a joint press release that you find on any of their websites, where they say, in addition, of course, as we said, to confirm the famine for the first time in Gaza, they reiterate the call for immediate ceasefire and unhindered humanitarian access to curb deaths from hunger and malnutrition. So you have this also on these websites. You have also the statement from the Secretary General in your mailbox and by the Commissioner General Lazzarini on his social media. And I see in the chat and in my message on WhatsApp that you're all asking for the notes of Tom Fletcher from this morning. Jens tells me it's coming, but you can already see the video on the UNOG multimedia room. And it may be that in the meantime, yeah, I think it's arrived. Ocha just sent it out. So you have now also the remarks on Gaza that Tom Fletcher gave this morning at the press briefing. And I'd like to thank really everyone. Rick, please Stay safe in Gaza, and we really are happy that you connected this morning. Good luck with your very important work. Thank you very much to Jean-Martin Bauer to connect from Rome. That was really insightful. And thanks to Jeremy for the human rights approach. I have just one last state information for you that comes from the Committee on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, which is concluding this morning the review of the report of Finland. And next week, they will complete their meeting by issuing the observation on the 4 countries that they have reviewed, which are, in addition to Finland, also the PRK, Kiribati, and the Maldives. So if there are no other questions, I'd like to thank you very much for having followed this long but extremely important briefing. Thanks again to all our speakers, and I wish you a very good weekend. Thank you.